Hi, it's Thursday, the 23rd of April 2020, and it's new moon in Taurus, and it's St. George's Day. It's also the 34th day of the zodiac, which is the most magical day of the zodiac. So 3 and 4 equals 7. St. George's Day, powerful template around the dragon and the patriarchy and the old story and how that's changing. It's also allegedly Will Shakespeare's birthday. There's no exact record of that, but they've worked it out approximately based on his baptism records. And it's also his death day. And he died at the age of 52, which in terms of the Mayan, that's when he became a Mayan elder. Of course, there's loads of mystery around Will and who he really was, because if you've watched the film around that, you will know that, and indeed if you have read his works and understand them on a deeper level, this is amazing magical alchemy language and code. So it was unlikely that it was actually who he said he was in the history books, or even at the time, that it was thought that this came from somebody else who was perhaps of royal birth and was using his name and personage to get that information through. So an interesting perspective on the magic. Like I say, with the works that he's done, they are incredible as to their esoteric knowledge and direction and these deep core values, which is what today is all about. In terms of the Mayan, we are on day 12 of White Wizard. So we are here. And we are on Red Crystal Serpent Day today, which is one of my mum's codes. We've been having an amazing time this morning working out code. This was my mum's birthday in 1985, so we're chatting about things that happened then. So again, this is what I offer you. This is what this code is for, to work out your own personal code. In terms of each 13-day process, you can work out so much information around your personal coding that if you've done 52 years, you can see exactly what you're working with each time it comes around. So for example, the Red Dragon Wave spell for me was when I had a transition from being Persephone, a young woman, into a mother, Demeter. And again, this is key to all the mythology and process around that. So how I changed as I became a mother and how that way of being impacted on me. And then in White Wizard Wave spell, this is a time for me in my 30s when I became a mother for the second time, up until my late 30s, and key events that happened for me during that time. So this is the secret, this is the key, knowing your own personal code and knowing what you're working with, what your mission impossible is in this lifetime, so you can become clear. Red Serpent is the 5th Mayan sign, and its planets are the asteroid belt. So today we have the asteroid Astraea in a square in Leo, and intuitively, again, I've looked it up in my chart. This is really key for me. My moon's in Taurus, at 8 degrees. I've been looking at my mum's charts and seeing how that matches up. She's got Lilith in Taurus at 8 degrees. So we've been chatting about that and putting that into common everyday language as well. Once you start to decode these unfamiliar terms, such as Mayan calendar, you can then start to really use it in a practical, grounded way, which of course is what Taurus energy is all about. No bullshit. It is what it is, Isis energy, and working with that to bring greater awareness. So the new moon was at 3 degrees at 03:35 in the UK this morning. So I'm just going to read that. We're actually at 9 degrees at the moment. My moon was at 8, so I've had mine and really focusing on that today. So at 3 degrees, the sleepwalker, everything begins with an inward cast. And then if you wish to get anywhere, you must go there on the inside and meet yourself there when you arrive. You feel a desire to memorize a territory of all the inner ways, to remember them, to recognize them, and to be able to follow them when it counts. You feel like you've been taught in the dream state, shown everything in dreamless sleep and through dreams. You're subtly and pervasively closely accompanied by a protective guiding spirit, held within the soul's alembic, entrusted to the angels, living in threshold sensitivity, attuned to the edge, led by the spirit through darkness into light, subliminal, enchanted, anxious, and at peace, always searching for something more. Remembering in your soul the lost earth ways and giving over to spirit, you belong to the infinite and wander through the finite worlds. You are like a stranger, knowing something else is at stake here, something else is going on here, something else is completely involved. Now, this is very close to Uranus today, Uranus in Taurus at 6 degrees. A pink diamond. The heart feels everything. It burns with a fever. Inside the burning, something marvelous is forming. Grace permits the realization of the heart's desires. You become a vessel to demonstrate, to share the beauty, the love, and the light. Yet all of this is implicit, is inherent, is inward. It is not seen by outer eyes. You are warming through slowly, contemplatively, those quantities of soul that are best entered upon, free from reflection. The inner life is rich beyond measure, with seeds which will be fertilized and are given forth in the fullness of time, with a consummate touch of having been through the fire to attain what is true and lasting. And at 9 degrees right now, we have got a talkative woman with tape over her mouth. A creative force at odds with itself. What would you do? What you would do, you would not do. Facing the truth that everything personally generated fails to satisfy. Spirit is 8-4 in its absence, something missing. Massive pride screeching to a halt, a very high vibration. Inward place is calling you, but the abyss features radical self-overcoming. And there is nothing to say, everything to do, with nobody left to do it, except the forgotten one inside who knows the way. That's aquaorfire.net. Inside degrees. Today, in terms of the Mayan, we are on planetary moon day 20, so we're seeing the manifestation of where we are, and we've got 8 days left to go of this moon before we go into spectral moon, the letting go moon. So that's going to be interesting given what's happening on the planet at the moment. In terms of cards, today I have got the Goddess of Willendorf, which is the caretaker. This is so key for now. Goddess of the ancients, whose spirit is re-emerging in our time, bless the earth and bring harmony to all people. As a symbol of life, nourishment and abundance, inspire me to honour and care for the earth. We're back to the Chariot card again in Thoth, which again, I've already had this in this 13-day process. This is about the soul journey again, so just listen to all of these stories and process around what's going on for the soul, human evolution. And being in our chariots, I always see it as holding your horses, getting ready to go when everything's in place. And in terms of the Mayan, we have got resolution of duality. So again, wherever we've got duality, we've got opposition, Uranus in opposition, Uranus in Saturn in a hard aspect in Aquarius at the moment as well. So again, what that's bringing up around what needs to shift. So this works for everybody on the planet, and there's a lot of not working for everybody at the planet at the moment. There's a certain group of people telling other people how it's going to be, and other people having to go with that, whether they want to or not. And how people are feeling about that. How are you feeling about that? So I've got these fun cards as well. Insightkit.com. So I've got these from when I was doing NLP. Great ways to get to deeper questions within yourself. So this is a past card. Now we're going back to 2012 at the moment in some respects. We're also going back to 9/11. I checked out my mum's natal chart today, and she's got Uranus in Taurus. So she will be 79 this year. So anybody of her generation who's still around, we're revisiting their patterns when they were born. And she was born in 1941. So interestingly, we were chatting this morning about things that had happened, and she's writing things down, her history, because she does the family tree as well. And this is so key. If you've got people to chat to about patterns and they're willing to share their stories, it's really key for you, for your family tree, to understand more about patterns and codes. So everybody is repeating patterns all the time, and at the moment we're seeing huge patterns geographically. So where things happened historically on the land, this is my understanding, that they just keep repeating, and each time they repeat we're at a different level, so we can understand more about why this is happening. And each person has their own repeating pattern as well. So very interesting, because my mum, the thing that came up with my mum today was when she was 4 years old, she got scarlet fever and she had to be isolated. And if you look at the parallels with what's going on now with a virus, and you can see where these original patterns were created. So mainly it affected children around that period. So that would have been 1945, which would have been just after the end of the war, and when her brother was born. And again, if you just start to look at the holistic bigger picture around that, around what was going on for people emotionally, especially because Taurus and Scorpio in particular is very, very key for around viruses, bacteria, and survival patterns as well. So again, we've got the full moon, the Wesak moon coming up, the Buddha moon on the 7th of May. So this is the dynamic that we're working with for the 2 weeks. So once we started to Google and look at this and look at Uranus in Taurus, and I will put this on my blog, flowwithjo.com, for you to check out if you should wish to. And you can subscribe and get regular updates, get these videos as well. Then you can see that this also happened in the 1800s as well. There was a pandemic. And so you can see lots of things that were done back then that are being done today. And that's all really interesting information, because often with people, they get stuck in old mindsets and old patterns. And it's not necessarily true that that is what is happening now. It's not the same thing. So sometimes we get things confused around thinking that it's that old thing when it's not. And one of the key things about scarlet fever was that there were some vaccines introduced, and then they stopped doing them because they were found that they didn't work. And so again, if you look at my blog, you will see the link there and you can check that out for yourself. And that's what this time is about, being really, really doing our due diligence and finding out for ourselves, rather than just being spoon-fed information. This is what it's about this time. It's about growing up. It's about taking responsibility for our own health and well-being, and understanding the bigger picture around that, where the current models have come from, especially in the West, the medical models. And just because they're there doesn't mean that they work either. You know, so the Eastern model is very different. The mind, body and spirit model is very different. And again, this is so key at this time, is to know that and go deeper. So, past question. When you think about times in the past, whilst this was happening, what else happened? Present. What else could all of this mean? Future. When will you have stopped doing that? And the wild card, if you don't know the answer, guess. So remember, we're always repeating things. And the more that we start to get clear about that, then we can go to a whole different level. And this is what the Buddha process is all about. It's all about knowing your own personal code, knowing about your own personal patterns, and most importantly, healing them. In terms of the pattern that popped into my head today was how these codes work. So I don't know why this works yet. I've just discovered the code number. So if anybody watching this does know, please post below or get in touch with me and explain why it does that. That would be great. So going from the first to the second, you add on 7. Second to the third, you take away 6. Third to the fourth, you add on 7, and so on. Each time, add on, take away 6 and 7 until you get to the end. So each time I get some information, I don't know what it is, but I just share it and blog about it, and at some point it becomes relevant. So I'm reading key books again around the mind factor. I'm still reading that. And I've also been watching videos from Clear Green, who do tensegrity around Carlos Castaneda, templates and frameworks, and again, mind-blowing. So at a Mayan site, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but again, I will blog about it, there is a labyrinth there. And so it was specially designed for people to go in before they went into the sacred part of the city, to walk into the labyrinth with the conscious intention to become aware of what was no longer serving them in order to let it go. And there were places to sit in that structure so you could sit and contemplate. And this is the amazing thing about what is happening now on the planet for people who are ready to do the Quetzalcoatl process, to be the Skywalker, to learn how to create heaven on earth by letting go of the old story. And astrologically, in your chart, wherever Saturn is, use Chiron to make the bridge of healing. So again, you need to know where your Saturn is and what it is. That's key to your Saturnian cycles. You need to know what your Chiron is and where it is. You also need to know what your Uranus is and where it is, because Uranus uses Chiron, what's coming to light that's seeking healing. So at the moment on the planet, we've got Uranus in Taurus, what's coming to light around what we value, what we love, what's practical, what works, where is the truth, what works. Let's let go of the bullshit. Let's do what works to create amazing experiences on planet Earth for everything and everyone, every being, rather than having certain groups of people who are different to others and do not treat the planet, we're all other people, with respect and love because of their own personal experience. People just do what they know. That's the key. We can't not do what we know. There's this whole nonsense around people can learn things intellectually and suddenly, miraculously, they just change. What we can see on the planet is that is not true. People do repeating patterns, they do their ancestral pattern, and they keep doing it until they get a healing intervention. They choose to change, they choose to heal, they choose to let go of trying to control and manipulate other people to get their emotional needs met. This is a big shift happening on the planet. So today is an amazing day to really focus on where you are compared to where you were in the first wave spell, which began on the 30th of March for 13 days. So 30th, 31st, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 3rd of April. What were you doing then? What were you mastering in relationship then? And where are you now? What's happening for you now? So remember that it is all about that inner work. It is all about, we're here for a reason to make a shift at this time by making a shift in ourselves. That's the only way that it can happen. It can't happen outside of us. We can't deliver some amazing miracle cure for all of this, because it's happening because it needs to happen, so that people start to break their patterns and to really focus on what has been triggering them, what is going way, way back to the 1940s, the early 1940s. So that just after the Depression, the war, the Second World War, what are we revisiting now, ready for that next level of awareness to come in? That's the key. Tomorrow we have the 13th day, and that's the day of shift, what needs to go. So today, focusing on where you are on your journey of relationship, on mastering relationships, and tomorrow then you will be able to make a conscious shift around the change that you need to make. And we're all in this together. So everyone's a teacher for all of us. We're all teachers and students. Wherever we are in our path, we're all learning from each other. And again, this amazing dance that we're in right now is revealing everything that needs to change. I am creating new workshops, and in particular, my focus will be around how to work with this energy to create emotional healing. So if you'd like to know more, please do get in touch. Lots of love to you. Bye for now.